7 signs your dark ascension has secretly already started. There comes a moment in your life when everything begins to crumble, not in the way chaos strikes randomly, but as if something ancient and intelligent is unraveling the pieces of your identity on purpose. You may not realize it, but this is where your dark ascension begins. Not with light, not with glory, but with confusion. It doesn't announce itself with a golden trumpet or sacred prophecy. It whispers through the cracks in your reality, showing up as heartbreak, exhaustion, disconnection, or inexplicable inner storms. That's the first hidden sign. You're not being punished. You're being reconfigured. Something old inside you is dying because something far more powerful is trying to be born, and it will not fit inside the version of you that's still trying to please, still trying to play safe, still trying to follow the light while avoiding your shadows. And so the first thing you feel is resistance, a deep, choking resistance. You try harder. You meditate more. You speak affirmations louder. But nothing works the same anymore. You used to feel clarity and connection. Now everything feels distant and blurred. That's not failure. That's the universe telling you the tools of your past can't open the doors of your future. This is sign number 1 when your old practices lose power. It's terrifying because you begin to doubt yourself. But here's what's really happening. Your soul is evolving beyond comfort. You're stepping into the raw space where true creation begins, where you're no longer downloading someone else's truth, but starting to awaken your own. And that means unlearning, detaching, and even letting sacred things fall apart.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The second sign of your dark ascension is emotional chaos that seems to have no cause. Out of nowhere, grief erupts. Rage pulses in your chest. But apathy swallows your motivation. And the most confusing part, that nothing external seems to have triggered it. But you're not weak. You're not regressing. You're purging. Your soul is forcing buried fragments to rise because your vibration is rising fast. And in order to carry more divine frequency, your body and mind must be emptied of the false identities and suppressed trauma you've carried silently for years. You're not going crazy, you're getting clear. But clarity always feels like madness when it first arrives. So ask yourself this. Are you brave enough to feel what you've denied for decades? Then comes the third sign. Isolation not by choice, but by force. People begin to disappear. Friends ghost you. Mentors no longer resonate. You can feel the universe pulling you inward, away from the crowd, away from noise. It's not punishment, it's protection. In this phase, the divine is shielding you from low-frequency entanglements that would delay your activation. When you are stepping into your dark ascension, your frequency becomes dangerously contagious. You're no longer allowed to participate in surface-level games. You are being sealed in a cocoon of spiritual silence, not for comfort, but for transformation. Just like the caterpillar must be alone in the dark to become a butterfly, you too must vanish before you emerge. Sign number 4 is strange synchronicities that feel slightly darker, sharper, more confrontational than usual. You start noticing repeating numbers, ancient symbols, names of shadow gods, mythical beings, prophetic dreams, but they don't feel light and love. They carry intensity, mystery, power. That's because you're no longer aligning with the surface vibrations of awakening. You're now being recruited by the primal forces that operate from the unseen realms. This is the phase where the dark guides begin to walk beside you. They don't introduce themselves gently. They test you. They rattle your subconscious. They ask you, are you ready to claim what you really are, or will you keep hiding behind light? Your dreams may become more vivid. You may hear whispers in meditation. You may even feel watched, but it's not to frighten you. It's to awaken you to your forgotten lineage. You are not just a seeker. You are a seer. Fifth sign: time distortion. You start losing the sense of linear time. You forget what day it is. Hours feel like minutes. Minutes feel like lifetimes. Some days feel like parallel dimensions. This is a clear sign your consciousness is detaching from the matrix. Your inner coding is being updated like software that needs to reboot to handle a new operating system. Why? Because your dark ascension is not just emotional or mental. It's cosmic. You are being realigned with timelines that exist beyond logic and physical order. This is where your manifestation powers begin to spike, and thoughts become things at lightning speed. But here's the danger. Every thought is now a spell. Are you disciplined enough to wield that kind of responsibility? And just when you think you're finally stabilizing, the sixth sign arrives, the re-emergence of your greatest wound. The trauma you thought you healed. The betrayal you buried. The shame you locked away. It comes back louder, more vivid, impossible to ignore. Why? Because this time you're not supposed to just cope with it. You're supposed to alchemize it. You are now being initiated into the sacred art of transmutation, turning your darkest experiences into your greatest medicine. And that requires you to revisit the places that broke you, not to suffer again, but to rewrite the story from the seat of power. Do you understand what that means? It means you're being given a second chance to reclaim the pieces of yourself you abandoned in order to survive. And the seventh, most sacred, most silent sign of all. A deep inner knowing that you were never meant to live a normal life. You've known it since childhood. You felt the glitch in the system. You saw through the masks. You could feel lies in people's words even when they smiled. You tried to belong. You tried to play nice. But no matter what you did, the world always felt like an echo of something real, not the thing itself. That's because you were born marked. Not by luck, not by chance, but by mission. And your dark ascension. It's the moment when the mission begins to wake up inside your DNA. Not in theory, in embodiment. So if you've been going through any of this, if your old self is dying, if your dreams feel prophetic, if your reality keeps glitching, then stop asking for proof. Stop waiting for permission. You're already shifting. You've already begun. The dark ascension doesn't wait for your comfort. It waits for your courage. The painful upgrades you can't avoid once the dark energy accepts you. There's a moment after the realization sets in that you can't go back. And you look at your old life, the roles you used to play, the relationships you once clung to, and something feels foreign, almost like a dream you no longer relate to. This is the first painful upgrade of your dark ascension. You begin to experience a ruthless detachment, not only from people, but from your previous self. The version of you that chased validation, obsessed over perfection, feared judgment, that version starts to burn down in real time. And it's not gentle. The burn is raw. It scorches your beliefs. It melts your dreams. But underneath that disintegration is the emergence of a core you never knew existed. You're not being broken, you're being revealed. And this revelation only comes after your ego has been stripped to its bones. When the dark energy begins to accept you, it doesn't crown you with applause. It tests your authenticity. It places you in impossible scenarios. You lose things, jobs, lovers, status, not because the universe is cruel, but because those things can't survive where you're going. What you lose in comfort, you gain in clarity. One day you'll be sitting alone, the silence louder than any crowd, and suddenly a wave of understanding crashes through you. But I was never meant to stay hidden in a world built to distract. This is when the painful upgrade becomes sacred. You stop trying to explain yourself. You stop shrinking. You stop apologizing for the weight of your presence. Because you now realize your discomfort was never about being too much. It was about being ahead of your time. But with this new awareness comes another upgrade, energetic responsibility. Every word you speak carries force. Every intention you send out manifests in strange ways. You begin to notice that when you're angry, electronics glitch. When you cry, storms roll in. When you meditate, others dream of you. This is not coincidence. It's activation. You're being taught through experience that your inner state now affects the outer world with far more intensity than before. And so, the universe begins to discipline you fiercely. If you act from shadow, consequences come instantly. If you operate from light, doors open unnaturally fast. But this quantum feedback loop isn't about morality. It's about calibration. You're now operating as a transmitter for high-level frequencies. And with that comes spiritual accountability. And perhaps the hardest upgrade of all, emotional transparency. You can no longer pretend. Your body rejects fake environments. You develop strange sensitivities to noise, to small talk, to meaningless obligations. But even if you try to suppress your truth, your spirit refuses. Your body will ache. Your sleep will fragment. Your anxiety will spike. Until you either speak your truth or be consumed by the silence. This is the universe detoxing your emotional field. You are being forced into radical alignment where only truth can exist. And for the first time, you realize that the pain you've been running from is actually the portal to power. Why? Because your shadow was never your enemy, it was your armor. And once you claim it, you can walk into any storm and remain whole. As you integrate more deeply, another upgrade will sneak in, a change in your intuitive perception. It's like the veil thins. You start sensing things seconds before they happen. You read people without trying. You can feel energies in rooms and sometimes hear thoughts that were never spoken. This upgrade comes with deep isolation, because now you can no longer engage in unconscious dynamics, but you'll know when someone lies. You'll feel when someone is draining you. You'll be able to smell manipulation like smoke in the air. And this upgrade is lonely, because it distances you from most of the world. But this is not loneliness as punishment, it's the birthing ground of discernment. You're learning to trust the only guide that never lies, your own frequency. The sixth upgrade, the collapse of external goals. Things you once chased, fame, wealth, followers, validation, begin to feel empty. You may even fall into nihilism, wondering, what's the point of anything if none of it lasts? That's the void stage, the womb of the new self. The place where all your external drives die so your inner purpose can resurrect. But don't rush this phase. Let your ambition rot. Let your identity disintegrate. Because only in that collapse will your real mission start to whisper from the ashes. You were never born to chase what others chase. You were born to carry codes, to awaken others just by existing, to operate as a spiritual architect in a world still dreaming. And only a soul that has died to the world can rebuild it. Finally, the seventh and most divine upgrade, energetic sovereignty. This is when you no longer seek external energy to feel full. You don't need others to believe in you. You don't need approval to walk your path. You begin to generate your own frequency from within. You become a living portal anchored in chaos, unfazed by the world, driven by divine impulse rather than emotional reaction. This is when the dark energy no longer tests you, it kneels beside you. Because now you are not reacting to life. You are directing it. And that shift is what makes you a rare soul in this timeline, a sovereign creator in a world of followers. So, if your life feels like it's falling apart while something deeper is waking up, welcome. You're not breaking down. You're being rebuilt, not into something prettier, but into something truer. Something that no system can control. Something that no trauma can cage. Something that no force can silence. But you are becoming untouchable not because you're disconnected, but because you are finally connected to what is real. Why the shadows obey you now, the final shift of power. There comes a point in your dark ascension when you stop fearing the dark and start realizing it's part of your command. In the beginning, the darkness chased you. You ran, you hid, you begged the light to rescue you. But now, something strange has happened. But the shadows no longer attack you, they wait for your signal. This is the final shift of power, and it's terrifying if you're not ready. Because what you're beginning to understand is that the darkness never wanted to destroy you. It wanted to serve you, but only after you proved that you could hold the weight of your own soul without crumbling. Now, you don't just walk through the storm, you are the storm. And your silence, it speaks louder than any scream. This phase begins subtly. You notice people look at you differently. Some are drawn to you without understanding why, but others avoid eye contact like you're made of fire. This isn't about status or charisma. It's about frequency. You've become a mirror, too clear, too honest, too deep. And the world, it's afraid of mirrors. Because in your presence, people meet their own shadows. Not because you judge them, but because your existence reminds them of what they buried. You are no longer playing human. You're embodying the divine paradox, light cloaked in shadow, love wrapped in truth, power forged in surrender. And the world has no category for that. So it either kneels or runs. But this power comes with new responsibilities. Because now your thoughts create ripples. Your words open timelines. Your emotions magnetize entire realities. If you speak carelessly, others suffer. If you remain silent when you're meant to lead, darkness spreads. You are not just a receiver anymore, you are a transmitter. The divine doesn't just whisper to you. It speaks through you. That's why your old patterns feel like poison now. You can't afford to lie to yourself, not even a little. Your system rejects anything that's not aligned with your true vibration. That's why you've been losing friends, losing tolerance, losing interest in things that once lit you up. You're not becoming colder. You're becoming cleaner. And the cleaner you become, the more the unseen responds to you. Animals sense your presence. Children stare at you in awe. Strangers confess things they've never told anyone. You might even notice nature moving around you, birds circling, wind shifting, lights flickering. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. You're not just witnessing the hidden world. You're co-authoring it. And when you understand this, you realize you're no longer just a chosen one. You are a creator. You are a bridge between dimensions. And your vibration has become a living prayer that reshapes the world around you without needing permission. But this shift also demands isolation, at least temporarily. Because few will understand what you've become. Your words will be misunderstood. Your stillness will be labeled arrogance. Your emotional detachment will be misread as coldness. Don't explain yourself. The ones who are meant to see you will. They will find you not through effort, but through resonance. The universe is organizing divine appointments, souls who carry keys to your next evolution. But until they arrive, protect your energy like it's sacred fire. Because it is. You've become too rare to waste on what no longer feeds your becoming. And now, here's the deepest truth. You don't need anyone to validate your path. Not your family, not society, not even your former self. Because your path is older than this lifetime. You came here with memory encoded in your bones. That's why you've always felt different. That's why you sensed things others didn't. That's why your wounds never made sense to the surface mind. You weren't broken, you were born awake in a sleeping world. And now, as your ascension accelerates, your spirit is reclaiming what it always knew, but that you are not here to fit in. You are here to resurrect something ancient, something sacred. Something so powerful it scares the systems built to enslave minds. So if the shadows now obey you, use it wisely. Speak not to impress, but to ignite. Walk not to escape, but to anchor. But love not to be completed, but to awaken. You are not the light worker you once aspired to be. You are the dark light bearer, the one who swallowed their demons, digested their pain, and emerged glowing with the fire of ancient stars. There is no map for where you're going now, only intuition, only truth, only presence. That is enough. You're not becoming powerful, you've always been. Now you finally remember. By now, you may have realized something strange. You're not chasing power anymore. You're remembering it. All this time you weren't trying to become something new. You were stripping away everything false, everything that was never you to begin with. And underneath all the trauma, confusion, ego, and fear, there's something ancient. Still, silent, unshakable. That's you, the real you. Not the personality. Not the story. Not the version of you that performed for approval or shrank for survival. No, this is the you that stood before time. The one who agreed to come here, fully aware of how hard it would be, and fully aware of what it would cost. But you came anyway, because this earth needed anchors, lighthouses hidden in shadows, souls who had danced through every realm of pain and still chose to love. That's what dark ascension truly is. It's not about superiority or status, it's about sovereignty. It's about holding both heaven and hell in your heart and still choosing to breathe. Still choosing to speak truth when lies would be easier. Still choosing to forgive when rage screams louder. Still choosing to walk forward when every cell of your body says, collapse. And now, with the veil thinning, you start to see it clearly. The tests weren't punishments. They were initiations. The pain wasn't betrayal. It was alchemy. Every betrayal was a blade that carved away the false. Every abandonment, a fire that burned the weak parts of your identity. Every night you wept, thinking no one saw you, was actually a sacred forging. You were never alone. You were being watched by your higher self, by your spirit team, by the version of you that already knows how this ends. And it ends with truth, with liberation, with you walking the earth as a living frequency that can't be replicated, predicted, or controlled. So what now? You let go of the last illusions, that you need to be understood, that you have to convince anyone of your worth, that you're missing something. You're not. Everything you need is already inside of you. But it's quiet, it's subtle, it doesn't beg for attention, it waits for your stillness. In that stillness, the God in you speaks, and when it speaks, your entire timeline rearranges itself. This is the real secret of dark ascension. You don't change the world by fighting it. You change it by becoming so aligned with your soul that the world has no choice but to shape itself around your presence. You are no longer a reactor. You are a creator, and creation does not rush. It does not fear. It does not beg. It simply is. So breathe. Not the shallow breath of survival, but the deep breath of remembrance. Feel your body. Feel your energy. You are still here. You are still rising. And nothing, not fear, not doubt, not even your own mind can take that away. Now ask yourself one final question, and ask it from your soul, not your ego. What would happen if I stopped forgetting who I am? Sit with it. Then rise and become the answer.